but the plot is good too. Yeah, but I'm so I don't like it. I don't hate it. It's a normal one. Yeah, but you can watch it. It's a very good one since there's such a big hype with the Odyssey and everything now. Have you watched the Odyssey? You watched the Avatar? Why would you watch the Avatar when the Odyssey's the trailers? You watch it? Well, it's a good one. You can go and watch it. I can see the difference between anyone has watched the Odyssey. Anyone? Online people? Kong Thành, no, I think he had an arm injury, so obviously he hasn't watched it. But other people, anyone has watched the Odyssey? No, not yet. Oh yeah, nice land. So I won't spoil it for you, but you know the plot already, so it doesn't matter anymore. But you know all the plots. No one has watched it. Wow, we went to the cinema and then it was so crowded. You know, all the seats were taken. It was actually quite popular. Like even the row A, you had people there, and I don't think they can see anything. It was too big for them. But yeah, I mean they were so desperate to watch it. But that's a good thing though. Yeah, at least people are still interested in epics and everything. Anyway, so now we are going to go to the second series of tragedies, Oedipus. Oedipus is one of the most famous tragedies in Greek mythology. Not as famous as a Trojan War and everything, but it is famous
Recording
in
in
its own way.
progress.
Yeah, it is famous in its own way, but also because of the modern time, people bring back, Greek mythology, and they tend to bring back Oedipus. Freud, for example, Freud is one of the major thinker of the modern 20th century, and then he brought back a lot of myths, and among them you have Oedipus, and people like the structuralists, okay, like anthropologists too, they love to discuss the theories of Oedipus in relation to family structure, kinship structure, and because of people like who discuss Levi Strauss, yeah, Levi Strauss, he discussed it. So, and because of the huge influence of those thinkers of the modern time, like Freud and Levi Strauss, Oedipus becomes a kind of a classic trope. People use it a lot. They use it when they talk about narrative structure. They use it when they talk about structuralism in folklore. They use it when they talk about psychoanalysis. They use it when they talk about kinship in anthropology, how to form alliances, and everything. So we'll talk a lot about it. Today in class, we are going to try to cover both Oedipus the king or Oedipus Tyrannus or Oedipus Rex. They mean the same thing. Rex mean the king. Tyrannus also mean the king. Okay. And we are also trying to cover Antigone. I want us to focus more on Antigone. It's a lot more, I would say, interesting. And there's been a bunch of things written about on Antigone. I think I even have the Vietnamese version there. Yeah, this one is translated by Chị Minh. Chị Minh is a very good one. And then you have, yeah, this is Butler book. You have the English version of it too. This is Antigone's Claim. It's a book. It's very, very interesting. Butler does a close analysis of Antigone. You see, like right around 100 pages just on analyzing Antigone. And you have a lot of it. Lacan loves Antigone. Zizek loves Antigone. There's so many people. Antigone has been written about, I think, even more often than Oedipus, the Rex one. There's a lot more. This is just a gift from my friend. That's right. I put it here. Okay. Yep. So let's just start with Oedipus. All of us know the plot already, hopefully. If you don't know the plot, then it's important to know the plot before we read the play, because that would have been the situation of the audience back then too. They knew the plot. Okay. It's not something strange. Antigone might have been something very strange to them. It may have been Sophocles' invention. It was very, very new back then. But for Antigone, the general plot is the same. Anyone can tell me the plot? What happened? What is the story of Oedipus? Anyone? Oh, now you can actually talk. Have I told you that? No? Okay. You can actually talk now with this wonderful invention I just purchased. Is it on? Yeah, it's on. Anyone? Anyone wants to tell? Yeah, yes. What happened to Oedipus?
Chronologically, or
Chronologically, yeah.
when he was born, he was like prophesied to sleep with his mother and kill his father in the future. So his father, the king, pierced his ankles and sent him away. But then he grew up somewhere else, and he knew about the prophecy, but he thought that he was gonna kill his adopted father, so he ran away again. And he killed a man at like a three-way crossroad, and then he saved the city from the Sphinx, and then he slept with the queen of the city and became king. So who is his mother? So he accidentally fulfilled the prophecy anyways without knowing. And then he exiled himself.
Yeah, he exiled himself and he punished himself. Now, depending on the place that you are reading, there's different ways that he punishes himself. Okay, it's not just one way. So, yep, very good. That is a plot, and so Oedipus is yeah. So incestuous relationship, for example, also the idea of the crossroad as your fate. Oedipus is normally understood as one trying to escape fate, but then meeting it anyway. You cannot escape fate. But it is so different from Prometheus Bound, as you can see, because this one concerns a kind of a human being, and it is a tragedy. And you can also think about it as a tragedy in the sense that whether we can apply what we learned last week about Aristotle's view on tragedy to him. Okay, is it pitiful? Does it evoke pity or fear? Does he have admirable qualities, etc.? So yes, so that is basically the plot when he was, even before he was born, okay? It was prophesied already that any son, the king bears Laius, the king he like, what's his name? Yeah, anyway, yes, Laius, a bear, would actually grow up and kill him. So the king is not very nice, you know, he punishes him. He tried to make sure that he cannot crawl when Oedipus is born. He cannot crawl because he also has a tiny. And actually, Oedipus means the person who cannot walk straight. He walks around, you know. That's what it means, Oedipus. Like because you had this kind of lame, you know, foot, so you kind of walk around like this. You cannot walk straight. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, that's what his name means. Yeah, he was supposed to be left to die, but then people don't. You can see how the motive is resembling a lot of other stories. Like you can think about Snow White. It's the same thing. You leave the child to die, but the child doesn't die. Or like the most recent film, Cruella, is the same thing. Kill the child, but the child doesn't kill. So he comes back and he kills you. So all of this tropes, you have them recurring. That is why Oedipus is so influential. You can see the tropes repeated throughout time. And of course, Old Boys too. Anyone has watched the movie? You? Yes or no? You did? Oh my God, and you sick already enough. You don't need to get sicker with the movie. I did. I talked to the class last week. You should not watch it if you are under 18. But anyway, if you watch it, you can see how influential. And Old Boy was actually one of the landmark movies in Korean cinema because it gained acknowledgement from the West in the sense that everybody in the West knew it. It was actually an inspiration behind another movie made in the West, the same plot, but very scary. Anyway, now, so there are so many topics we can talk about in that kind of sense. He tried to escape the fate, running away from his adopted parents, but then you meet people in the crossroad that defies your fate, and then you do exactly the same thing, and then you meet your own fate. Now, the theme of fate is very strong in the Oedipus because in here you don't have a hero having a choice or anything. It is not even surprising. There is nothing surprising in Oedipus, unlike what you have read before. For example, in Agamemnon, for example, you also have an element of surprise there. But in here, it's completely expected in the sense that if he doesn't have a choice, is irresponsible for what happened. Okay, so that is a big thing that you will have to struggle with. But today, in today's class, we want to focus on only one big problem, the question of knowledge. As I promised, we are going to discuss it last week. So we are going to talk about knowledge today. And I will try and help you. We are going to kind of like pretend we are going to analyze it. Let's just say we are going to do a close analysis of the play. And I'll give you an example of what we do when we do close analysis. And then after that, perhaps you can do the same to Antigone. In Antigone, we are going to talk about the question of justice versus law. Okay. And you can have draw some comparison between Aeschylus and also Sophocles too, once you're doing that. Okay, now let's just start with some nice quotation. Oedipus the king. And then we will talk about the question of knowledge. This one should be easier for you than last time we will talk about the question of communication. Knowledge is something that you know already, right? Okay. Now, in here, the Oedipus, one king of Thebes, and Creon. Creon would be one of the major character in his later plays too, the Antigone one. And the chorus, and you have Tiresias. Tiresias, he's gonna die very soon. Okay, after all the plays. Historically, I mean, no, according to historical legends, he's gonna die soon. Okay, now some important passages. Now, so what happened is that Thebe is suffering from a plague. For those who don't know, Thebe is suffering from a huge plague. That is why there's also some kind of prediction or estimate that the play was actually written during the time where Athens was suffering from a huge plague. Okay, the fall of Athens. Anyway, yeah, so the children are here, they are suffering, okay, and then Oedipus is coming out to try and soothe them. Like, don't worry, we're gonna find out the cause of this huge plague very, very soon. Okay, so you have this one. First, you have the priest. He's trying to praise, as you can see, Oedipus. Here, you came and by your coming saved our city, a savior. That's why we call him a tyrant. Again, remember, tyrant just means an unofficially elected king. It doesn't mean he's a bad person. Okay? Tyrant nowadays means a dictator. In the past, it did not mean that. Free us from tribute which we paid vote to the Sphinx cruise singer. This you did in virtue of no knowledge we could give you, in virtue of no teaching. It was God that aided you, men say, and you are helped with God's assistance to have saved our lives. Okay, so now every time I read something important, I think my topic is knowledge, I write down the notes. That's what I do when I do analysis, right? So why don't we write down the notes? Here we go. Here we go. So here, what do I have about knowledge? Let's just say I want to write something. I want to learn about the theme of knowledge today. And it's such an important theme. I want to know what the book has to teach me about knowledge, right? So I can draw a graph, perhaps I can do, anything. So here you have it. You did something in virtue of no knowledge we could give you, in virtue of no teaching. So after this, I can just try and think about knowledge. What is knowledge, right? Something given, right? Right? That is knowledge. Knowledge is something people give you. It means that if you are not born, you don't have knowledge, right? But here there's something else that they're trying to say. That what Oedipus is doing is against the norms. It's against expected customs. Normally, I have to give you knowledge and you act on those knowledge, right? But here, no, you did all of this as if you knew, but you didn't know. Make sense? So here, maybe we can also talk about types of knowledge. Knowledge imparted perhaps by humans versus knowledge imparted by God. Here it seems like the gods give you the knowledge. And when knowledge is imparted by the gods, you know without actually knowing it. So here it is manifested not by what you say consciously in a way, but more like by what you do. Okay, this kind of knowledge. Make it bigger and make it smaller. Okay, so you did in virtue of no knowledge we could give you, in virtue of no teaching. And then now you can also think about the condition of knowledge here. Normally, in order to do something, you have to know. But sometimes, we successfully achieve something even though we don't know what it is. And then we say it's a miracle, a eureka, the moment. Okay, and you say, well, God inspired me to do it. Okay, and you can link this to all the ideas whether knowledge is inborn. Yeah, is it inborn? Like you are born with it. Yeah, priori. Or is it like something you gain after you are born? Right? So you have to think about this kind of question too. Is there some knowledge that already with you the moment you are born? And is there some knowledge that actually you gain after birth? Make sense? Yeah. So think about it. Now for Oedipus's case, it seems like everything he does here, he does it with the knowledge of something that is given to him before birth. It's a fated knowledge, you can say. And now let's just think about knowledge for real. What is knowledge? Maybe the opposite of it first. Let's just start with something easy. What is the opposite of knowledge? If I say knowledge, what's the opposite? Maybe ignorant. Okay. The opposite of knowledge would be ignorance. What is something in between them? What would be in between knowledge and ignorance? Like you think you know, but you don't really know. You know. Yeah, the assumption. What Plato would call belief or doxa. Okay. Let's just put something here in the sense of belief. Like you think it is knowledge, but it is not. Okay, this kind of idea. You think it is like knowledge, but it is really not knowledge. Like you think that I think that you are my father and I'm gonna kill you because that is the truth, right? Now he's not telling a lie or anything. It's just that because so many different factors going on, he thinks it's his real father, and that's the part where he gets it wrong. It's not his real father, and he acts on it. He doesn't really have knowledge, but he doesn't really have ignorance either. Okay, he has something we call like belief. It's a wrong belief, you can say. Okay, or doxa, if you want the term for it. Yeah, go on, go on. Now, think about it. When we say that we know something, what does that mean? For example, when I say I know physics, or like I know chi, I know Nguyen, what does that mean when I say I know something? Perhaps I know content, I know definition, and that is why people try to differentiate stages of knowing, right? I know chi is different from I know of chi. When I say I know of chi, I mean I don't know much about her. I know that she exists somewhere. Okay, so here you also have levels of knowledge, right? When we say that we know something, it may mean like, for example, when I say I know physics, obviously I don't know anything about physics except for the fact that it exists. I'm very bad at physics. Everything I know about it is kind of wrong. Okay, so that's like know by acquaintance. You just know that it exists. Okay, so knowledge on the first level, it is bound to something you can call existence, ontology, right? We can only know something that it exists. Can we know something that doesn't exist? How? For example, now that this is where linguistic games are interesting. Do you know about an elephant that doesn't exist? Yes or no? Can you know an elephant that doesn't exist? You see, but the moment I tell Nguyen that, do you know an elephant that doesn't exist? Immediately in his mind, he pops up an image of the elephant. That is a big problem with that, as you can see. Knowledge can be quite elusive in that sense. When I say to you, like, think about the elephant that doesn't exist, then you actually think about an elephant that doesn't exist. You see? But the problem is that you don't have any knowledge about it because it technically doesn't exist. So linguistic games make the question of knowledge quite difficult. And that is also why Oedipus as a play is all about linguistic games. You can see that it makes the play ironic. Oedipus is one of the big play when you want to learn irony. And you will see the irony very soon. It will make you laugh, even though it's a tragedy. Okay. Yep. So the first one, it deals with ontology. I cannot know something that doesn't exist. If I claim to know something that doesn't exist, it cannot be the truth. Okay. Like a ghost. Do I know a ghost? Well, I know ghosts, but again, I don't know ghosts. This kind of idea. They're more fitting to be called like a belief. And then you can say you truly know something, right? When you know everything about it, like closer to the truth. The closer knowledge is to the truth, then basically the more you know about it, right? That would be the second level of knowledge, right? You can just say all knowledge, okay? And then you also have something you call false knowledge, right? Knowledge you think exists, but it doesn't really exist. It's just like false. Huh? Yeah, easy. Yeah, okay. Now we'll continue to fill in this gap and then we can continue. Blah, 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 blah. And then Oedipus. Now I want you to read it full, knowing full well everybody, the play depends on you knowing the fact. Remember, your knowledge makes the play fast. And Oedipus, looking at the children suffering in the lake, he says, I pity you, children. You have come full of longing, but I have known the story before you told it only too well. He knows the story, or at least he thinks he knows. I know you are sick. Yet there is not one of you sick as though you are, that is as sick as myself. Now he's telling the truth. Okay, he doesn't know that and he doesn't mean it, but he's actually telling the truth. The Oedipus is a person that cannot tell a lie by faith. That is a problem. But everything he does it wrong. Everything he understands it's wrong. But he will never tell a lie. Okay, there is not one of you who is as sick as me. And he's actually telling the truth. But he doesn't mean it like that. He said, your several sorrows each have single scope and touch but one of you. It means that your pain is only on you. But my spirit groans for the city and myself and you at once. That is why I'm so sick. Because I bear the pain of you, of you, of you, of the city, and of me. So I'm sicker than you. Okay? Yeah, that's what he means. You have not roused me like a man from sleep. Know that I have given many tears to this, gone many ways wandering in thought. But as I thought, I found only one remedy than that, and that I took. I sent Minicius, son Creon, to Castor's brother, to Apollo, to his Pythian temple, and asked for the Tiresias one, the prophet. Okay, so that is the first moment of irony. Okay, there is not any one of you here who is as sick as me, which is true. Okay, so think about it. Oedipus is a man who always tells the truth, even if he knows it or not. Okay, Now, when you tell something true and you don't know it, can you say that you have knowledge of it?
No.
Maybe no. Go on, go on.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
you just say something about something you live.
Mm-hmm. You see, that makes Oedipus so good. I mean, fate here is so interesting to him. Everything he does is good. It's like you float through your life. You float through your tragedies. The moment you try to avert it, you fail. But if you float through it, you're gonna be a hero. You know, everything you do, you cannot do it wrong. We all want that, right? Especially people like you, Nguyen, right? You want to do right. You don't want to try to do right. You see, it goes against our instinct because knowledge is different from ignorance. Ignorance is not something you have. Knowledge is something you have. You cannot say you have ignorance because ignorance means you don't have anything. Okay, see the difference? Yeah. So now you can actually compare that. Yeah. Ignorance is not something you have. It is a state. Knowledge is not a state. It is a possession. You have knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, you are in ignorance. Okay. You cannot say you have ignorance. It doesn't make sense. Okay. That's why people often think that they are the direct opposite, but they're not really direct opposite. You see, we are born in ignorance, but by and by we gain knowledge. Sometimes true knowledge, sometimes false knowledge, but it is knowledge nonetheless. You cannot be born with ignorance and forever remain in ignorance. It's not going to work that way. Huh? Okay, now let's go on. Okay, but when he comes in, may I prove a villain if I shall not do all the God's command. Okay, he's actually the villain. But yeah, okay, your words are so opportune. Yeah, now they all talk like that. But here, your main signal that Creon is this moment coming, and then Creon is coming. He's inviting, blah 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 blah, and then you have more. Now Oedipus. Okay, I begin again. I begin again and bring this all to light. Fittingly, King Phoebus took this care. Phoebus is Apollo. Okay? Took this care about the dead, and you took fittingly and justly, you'll see me an ally, a champion of this country and the god. For when I drive pollution from the land, I will not serve a distant friend's advantage, but act in my own interest. Okay, when I drive pollution from the land, I act in my own interest. Okay, go on. Whoever he was that killed the king may readily wish to dispatch me with his murderous hand. So helping the dead king, I help myself. Again, he doesn't know, but he says all the right thing. Okay, whoever kills the king may want to kill me too. Otherwise, you know, I'll kill him. So when I have the dead king, I have myself because you know he's a dead king. Here it has been prophesied already. Whoever kills a king brings the plague on the city. So Oedipus says, good knowledge. Whoever kills the king condemns this city. So I have to fight the one who kills the king. That's why he says this. Whoever kills the king, you might want to kill me now. Otherwise, I'm going to kill you. So when I have the king, you know, I actually have myself. You see? Make sense? Now you can think about so many levels of knowledge this are true. Now, and it may even get you so confused, but everything he says in any kind of level, it's actually quite true. Now first, whoever that killed the king, that's him, right? Yeah, and does he kill himself in the end? Well, not kill himself, but does he torture himself, punish himself in the end? Yeah, he does punish himself in the end, just like he promised. Okay, but then it also means that he want to kill himself, like you might want to kill me now. You see, you may readily wish to dispatch me with this murderous hand. It was actually true. He does want to do that when he knows. Make sense? Make sense? Yeah. So again, everything is true. on whatever level you want to understand it. Okay, and it's so fun. He actually condemns himself and he doesn't even know it. Okay, go on. Come, children, blah 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 blah, and then the priest comes. Now this one. Now here he's just actually trying to proclaim to all. Okay, this is his proclamation. He's trying to find the murderer. Okay, the murderer of the previous king. But since though late, I also have become a citizen among you. Citizens, now I proclaim to all the men of thieves. Whoso among you knows the murderers, by whose hand Laius, son of Lapadacus, died, I command him to tell everything to me. Yes, though he fears himself to take the blame on his own head, for bitter punishment he shall have none. Okay, if you know, tell me. Don't worry, I won't punish you. Okay. For bitter punishment he shall have none, but leave this land unharmed. You have to leave this land, but you're not going to be harmed. Or if he knows the murderer, another, maybe a foreigner, still let him speak the truth, for I will pay him and be grateful too. But if you shall keep silence, if perhaps some one of you, to shield a guilty friend, or for his own sake shall reject my words, hear what I shall do then. I forbid that man, whoever he be, my land. This land where I hold sovereignty and throne. That is punishment. If you know the murderer but don't say it, I'm going to forbid you from my land. Okay, that is his punishment. Well, he knows, but he doesn't say it. Make sense? Do you understand? Okay, go on. And I forbid any to welcome him. That is true too. And give him greeting or make him a sharer in sacrifice offerings to the gods. I command all to drive him from their homes. Okay? Since he is our pollution, as the oracle of Pythos, God proclaimed him now to me. So I stand forth a champion of the God and of the man who died. Upon the murderer, he's cursing himself now. Upon the murderer, I invoke this curse. Whether he is one man and unknown or one of many, may he wear, which is true. He doesn't know himself. He's a man of many. He thinks right now he's a true son of his adopted parents, but actually he's not. He's also one of many in the relationship problem. Now, why incestuous relationships bring problems back then or even now? Because it confuses relationships, as you can see. Yeah, so what is his relationship now? He's a husband of his wife, but also the son of his mother. Okay, so that's the same. So he's a son of his wife. Okay, go on. There's more.
He's
What about his sons and
the
daughters?
brother.
Exactly. He's a brother of his own sons and daughter, which makes his own sons and daughters technically his wife's grandchildren. Make sense? You see why it's so confusing now. Now it gets even more confusing if you want to compare like the daughters, for example, with the brothers. Now, when Antigone later on wants to bury one of his brothers, then who is his brother? Well, yes, they are his brothers, like her brothers. Okay, Antigone has a brother, so they are her brothers. But at the same time, they are also, well, depending on what you want to compare. Okay, they are also technically her uncles. Make sense? Yeah, so it gets really, really complicated now. But yes, either you are one or you are many, it doesn't matter. Okay. May he wear out his life in misery, the miserable doom, which is true. And with my knowledge, he lives at my house. I pray that I myself may feel my curse. Now you see how deeply ironic it is. Okay. Now, so is he a man who does something wrong, or is he a man who is incapable of doing wrong? That's a big question here. Well, everything he says is true. He clearly is a wrongdoer, but is he really doing something wrong?
No.
Yeah, he doesn't mean to, but is he doing anything wrong? I mean, look at this. Everything he says, he does. Okay. Does he do anything wrong? Now, so you can think about knowledge in that sense too.
Well, wait, if you don't have.
Yes, go on. Somebody said something. Yep. I think somebody said something online. Yeah, so how do you show your knowledge? Most of the time, the direct way to show your knowledge is to just say it or write it by words of mouth, in writing, right? Right? But also by action, right? And action here, sadly, can also include verbally. Verbal actions are also actions. Physical actions are also actions, right? So again, by word of mouth, by writing, by action, etc. You can show knowledge. When people say you show your knowledge, it mostly means that you know you have it, you show it. Okay. Okay, so in here, as you can see, he shows that he has knowledge by everything, by words of mouth, by action, but at the same time, he's not aware of how many levels the truth has. Okay, so now the next thing for you is knowledge or truth, multi-layered or singular. What does that mean when we say that truth has to be singular? Most of the time, a truth is just a truth. I hate it. That's it. I love it. That's it. But now it means so many things that people get so confused. Mm? Okay. Yeah. So again, everything so far he says is actually true. He's being a nice and virtuous king because he's doing everything by right. It's just that fate had something in store for him. Okay, but you know, I invoke the curse to this murderer. If with my knowledge he lives at my heart, I pray that I myself may feel my curse, which is true. I mean, he lives there. He lives at his heart, and he will feel the curse. So everything is true. Okay. Go on. On you, I lay my charge to fulfill all this for me, for the gods, and for this land of ours, destroyed and blighted, by the gods forsaken. Even were this no matter of God's ordinance, I did not fit you to leave it lie and purify, since the great man is dead a king. Indeed, you should have searched it out. Since I am now the holder of his office, and I have his bed and wife that once was his, and had his line not been unfortunate, we would have children in common, which is true. As you can see, his fortune lived upon his head because of all these things. I fight in his defense as for my father. You see? You see? So again, everything is true. He just doesn't know it. Okay? Is he lucky or unlucky? Well, so far he has been quite lucky, no? I mean, he says everything right. Even with the spins and everything. He thought he's very lucky. Right? You see, I mean, think about it, a life of a person. I mean, we all wish to be born like that again, to say the right thing without trying, to do the right thing without trying, to flow through life. Every time we do the right thing, we have to try, right? Like, what is the right thing to do? What is the right answer to this math question? What is the right thing to say to our parents? What is the right thing to say to our lovers? But for him, he doesn't have to try. Everything he says is gonna be right. Okay, which is very weird. Huh? Yeah, I fight in his defense as for my father, and I shall try all means to take the murder of Laius, the son of Labdacus, the son of Polydorus, and before him of Cadmus, and before him of Agenor. those who do not obey me, may the gods grant no crops springing from the ground. They plow our children to their women, which is true. Okay. May a fate like this or one still worse than this consume them. For you whom these words please are the Thebans. May justice as your ally and all the gods live with you, blessing you now and forever. Okay. Go on, go on. Now the Tiresias has arrived. He invited Tiresias, but of course, does he trust Tiresias? No, cannot face it. Alas, how terrible is wisdom. Another word for knowledge for you. How terrible is wisdom when it brings no profit to the man that is wise. This I knew well, but had forgotten it. Else I would not have come here. So now we come to the second thing, use of knowledge. When should knowledge be, you can say used or exploited? Okay. So here, Tiresias seems to imply that a wise man doesn't just know. Yeah. He also needs to know when to show his knowledge, right? Or to use his knowledge, you can say. So knowledge becomes something like a skill, an art for you. It is not just your possession, it is like a skill. It's like an art. How do I use it? How do I make it to good effect, etc. And second, forgetting knowledge. What does that mean when you say you forget something you know? Now, we can say we forget information, right? I mean, if you ask me like, well, population of Vietnam, or when was Ho Chi Minh born? You know, this kind of information, this kind of facts, I forget. But can you forget knowledge? Or what is knowledge again, right? For example, I know that I know a fact that this is my mother, this is my father, for example, that's a fact. I can only forget it if I have like amnesia, right? Make sense? Now, when people have amnesia, they forget everything. With normal people, however, we only forget information and facts. We don't normally forget knowledge, right? Knowledge is basically like, let's just say the way you eat, you know, the feeling of hunger, the fact of love, all of this you can say knowledge, right? It's not just like when you learn math or anything. It's just like every day. You learn how to walk, the knowledge of walking, that's a skill. The knowledge of laughing, of talking, of eating when hungry, you know, of going to the bathroom when you have to. All of that is knowledge, and you don't normally forget it, right? So again, here, when we say we forget knowledge, what does that even mean? Can we forget something we know? Think about it. Okay, now go on. So same thing here. What is this? Oedipus asks, how gloomy you are now that you've come. And Tiresias says, let me go home. He's so silly. I mean, he should not come, but he come and he said, let me go home. It will be easiest for us both to bear our several destinies to the end if you will follow my advice. I think some of you wrote about following advice. It's a very good idea. I have never thought about that. You rob us of this, your gift of prophecy. You talk as one who had no care for law nor love for thieves who reared you. Oedipus, I don't know. Now, if you want to do a psychoanalytical session of Oedipus here, he seems to be very fast to condemn other people for the blame. He seems very anxious to condemn people. Makes us suspect that he may know that he's a murderer. You see what I mean? Okay, he's very quick to condemn. Yes. Yeah.
I think like he's more of an idealist. Is it?
In what way? Is he an idealist?
Yes. Like he believe he's a good person at
Yeah.
this stage.
And he isn't.
Yes, and like he's so sure of that, and all of his announcement previously shows that like he would do anything to prove that he's a good person.
Good, very
Yeah,
good.
in a way.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if he
Yes.
is so sure that he's a good person, then everything else must be the bad one. Like, I mean, here either I am good. If I'm bad, then But
Yes.
here, if I'm the good one and you don't do what I ask of you, Tiresias, then you must be the bad one, right? It's just like when he says, no, you, Oedipus, is the murderer. When Tiresias said that, then Oedipus said, no, I'm the good one. I cannot be the murderer. Therefore, you're saying that you must be the murderer. Okay, yeah, in a way, he's so sure of himself. So now you can also talk about the direction of knowledge. When we say we have knowledge, we have two kinds too, right? Knowledge of the world or of others. External, you can say. But also you have self-knowledge. Know yourself, right? Yeah, the Delphic order. Know yourself. What does that mean to know yourself? The original meaning. What does that mean to know yourself? What does that mean? Know yourself. In the original meaning, it doesn't mean that you know yourself in this sense. It means know your place, know your position, know your limit. Know your place, your position, your limitations. Okay, so it's just basically a warning. Don't try to be more than who you are. Don't try to take other people's place. Don't try to outdo people. Don't try to become God. So it is basically a teaching of humility. Know thyself. Back then, it just be humble. Okay, it means be humble. Well, know yourself just mean like know what you want. Nowadays, people understand it like know yourself mean you know what you want, you know your goals, you know your likes and dislikes, you know your taste in things. But that's not really what they meant back then. Yeah, of course, they are related. They're just not the same, but they relate. Back then, nobody would think like know thyself mean like you know that you like to eat chicken but not beef, because that has nothing to do with your humility. But it means that you know where you are. That's one of the first important Delphic orders. Know yourself. So here, if we have to classify Oedipus in this way, then he is a person who knows everything but himself. Anything related to himself, he seems to be flawed. He doesn't know his situation. Everything else he's known. When he is an outsider talking about himself, he's absolutely correct because he has to externalize himself. You see, but when he is himself, talking about himself, then he cannot do. He cannot do it. Make sense? Now he doesn't seem to be a vain person now, but through his action here, as you can see, he doesn't respect that. He's a person who seem to like not cultivate this kind of self-knowledge. Okay, here Tiresias. Yes, but I see that even your words miss the mark. Therefore, I must fear for mine words. Now, Tiresias is shown to be a person of a different type of knowledge. And this kind of vague idea of knowledge, like words missing the mark. I say the truth, but again, do people understand it? Do they understand what I mean? Are they going to take wrong action based upon that? You see, have you ever like told the truth, but then people acted so wrongly about it, which is quite weird. I mean, I don't know. Let's just say Phong has a girlfriend and then, she cheated on him. And then I tell him the truth, like, your girlfriend cheated on you. And instead of just breaking up and find a person who loves you truly, you go and you murder the girl. Now, obviously, when I tell you that, I don't expect you to murder the girl and go to prison, right? Why do people act so wrong upon getting the right knowledge? Most of the time. We don't know. I mean, that's the question. So again, no, it's not just about knowledge, right? Have the right knowledge, but also act right upon or with the possession of the knowledge, right? It is so difficult to know all of this, huh? I mean, look at Oedipus and his whole life. He gets a new, I defeat the Sphinx, I'm going to be a king. Nice, a new knowledge. And he accepts it. He thinks it's the right thing to do, right? Accept it. I mean, you are the tyrant now, accept it. And then, here's a queen, she's to be my queen. Accept it, right? It's good knowledge. And when his sons are born, when his daughters are born, good news, accept that. But again, every step of the way, he should have said no. I mean, no, I don't want to be a king. No, bad news. I don't want to get married to. But again, there's no reason for him to do that, right? Okay, yeah, and then go on. For God's sake, this is English translation. For God's sake, if you know of anything, do not turn from us. All of us kneel to you. All of us hear your supplies. So he's being nice now. He's begging. All of you here know nothing. I will not bring to the light of day my troubles, mine, rather than call them yours. What do you mean? You know of something but refuse to speak. Would you betray us and destroy the city? I will not bring this pain upon us both, neither on you nor on myself. So here too, you talk about the revealer of the truth. I'm thinking of a better word for that. Who have the right to reveal the truth, especially if it's divine truth? Okay, think about it. We think about this in everyday conversation too. I mean, if it is not my truth, I tend not to show it, right? Right? I mean, for example, let's just say Thanh Phong's girlfriend again, the fact that she cheated on him, is it my truth to say? But should I say it because if I'm his friend? I don't know. Who would be a better person to say it then? Maybe the best person to say it would never say it. It's a girlfriend, right? I mean, she should come to him and say it. Should I force her to say it then? Again, it's so difficult. So who has the right to reveal the truth? Who has the right to impart knowledge? More like knowledge here. We have been using the word truth and knowledge interchangeably here. Who is who? Yeah. So again, he's wise because he's no, I'm not going to tell you this because you're going to hate me, you're going to hate yourself, and you're not going to trust me anyway. What's the point? It doesn't really do anything. Yep. Are you sure? I don't. People can disagree with that strongly. Yeah, be careful. But say it again. Say your whole point.
I think that everyone have the right to reveal the truth if they know the truth, but I think it doesn't have anything to do with the decision to say the truth. Like they have the right to say it, but it's upon them to decide to reveal it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just trying to think about in the context of the Greek, would they have agreed? You see, because now we wouldn't agree. But I mean, for the Greek, but yeah, go on.
I think differently. I think person, like people will have the right to tell the truth if they know that the person affected how they will react.
I mean, I would never tell the truth if,
Like,
you know, like
for
Tom would be so angry knowing that his girlfriend cheated that he stabs everybody near him.
Yeah, like
So
if
then
you
I'm
know
not
he
gonna
will
tell.
stab people, then you shouldn't tell him.
Yeah.
But I think that in the sense, if the one who know the truth, they doesn't care about the aftermath.
Oh.
They just want to reveal the truth. Yeah, it doesn't have anything to do with moral or the well-being of others.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, why is it that, you know, for example, let's just say that I'm not even his friend,
Mm.
you know,
Mm,
I'm just a stranger who walks by every day, like by his house. But then now that I know the truth of his girlfriend, every time Phong and his girlfriend walk by me happy, I would just look at it with disgust and say, oh, come on, you're so stupid. Look at the horns. They're so long on your head. You don't even know. You see? You see, but
Mm.
somehow we feel like this really needs to get out. I mean, the truth has that kind of divine right to be known, you know, which is weird. I mean, people demand to know the truth, and that desire to know the truth is so strong. I mean, it has nothing to do with anything, you know. Yeah, which is quite weird.
Revealing truth, are you talking about like you tell that person who is
Yeah.
affected, or you tell like a friend of a friend because
Maybe
you cannot hold it in?
You can tell everybody, and that's what you normally do. You don't tell the person being affected, right? Because you don't even know him, but you tell your friend, like, look at that couple,
Yeah.
you know, she's cheating. Look at the horns, you know. So again, but you're not gonna be like tell the affected party, right? I don't even know. Would someone like to know if you get cheated on? Would you like to know? Would you like a stranger to come and tell you? No. So you would just like to get to continue to be cheated on?
If I know,
You would do what?
like, if I know that, I would be really mad. So I will pretend to be knowing nothing about that.
Oh. So if you're mad and you just pretend you don't know, I thought you're mad, you kill people.
Like,
No.
I would,
Yeah? Are you gonna kill her?
if I'm older,
If you're older, you're gonna kill her? Like how old enough for murder? 18?
I can be thinking about that also.
Anyway, did we talk about, no, we haven't talked about privacy. I didn't give you a full lecture on privacy. Privacy is another thing you might want to think about when it comes to knowledge, and knowledge has certain privacy. Now, it doesn't have anything to do with this. Well, let me see if I have never actually thought about that. Maybe the play can also yield something about privacy. But yeah, a lecture on privacy would take an hour. We don't have that time. Okay.
I think maybe it depends on the priority of the one who receives the truth. If they prioritize the truth, then they should be known the truth. But that's not what they prioritize, then I don't think it's necessary.
Absolutely. Yep. Kant would say, no, you have to tell the truth. You have to do the truth. It has to be the truth all the way. Socrates would also say that. He would just say, no, knowing the truth actually makes him better. It makes him happier. Because, you know, he has agency. He has to be able to decide. Lying to people prevent them from deciding anything. So you should help him take back his agency. Now that he knows that his girlfriend is cheating on him, he can make a decision, like to leave or accept that and move on. But he cannot make that decision if you lie to him. You see? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, maybe let's see. If we have time, we can talk about privacy and privacy rights and everything. But now, let's see. I'll think whether we can apply that here too. Okay, very good, very good. But here you have that. Oedipus, you would provoke a stone, tell us, you villain, tell us, and do not stand there quietly unmoved, unhelpful, set on doing nothing. Now, the emotional response here is quite strong. It's just about knowing the truth. I don't know. It seems like he has a fervent desire to help the city, but there seems to be something personal about this too. Like, he gets so mad about this, he was just backing him like a moment ago. Now it seems like he's very mad. He really wants to know. The desire for knowledge here seems to be very counterproductive. But yes, desire for knowledge. And we all born with this kind of desire to know. Huh? Isn't it just enough when you act right? Why do you have to know? Right? You blame my temple, but you do not see your own that lives within you. So you chide me instead. You see, Tiresias is quite reasonable here. He's just speaking everything correctly. Who would not feel his temple rise at words like this, with which you shame our city? Of themselves things will come, although I chide them and breathe no word of them. Since they will come, then just tell me. Okay, if the truth will come, then just tell me. So now again, the revelation of the truth. You can tell people the truth or you can experience it. Knowledge can be something you experience. Think about it. Experience of knowledge versus knowing knowledge. Indeed, I am. I will say nothing further. Against this answer, let your temple rage as widely as you will. Indeed, I am so angry. I shall not hold back the jot of what I think. For I would have you known that I think you were the co-plotter of the deed. And do of the deed save insofar as for the actual killing, because he's blind, he cannot kill. Had you had eyes, I would have said alone you murdered. Okay? Yes? Then I warn you faithfully to keep the letter of proclamation, and from this day forth to speak no word of greeting to these nor me. You are the land pollution. Okay, so now we have a problem here. How does anger distort the truth? Now you can see in here that this is the first time that Oedipus doesn't lie. He's still being honest to himself. But the first time in the play, something he says is not true. Okay, now he doesn't lie. He doesn't intentionally lie, but he gives false knowledge now. And that happens the moment he's so angry. Okay, yeah, so think about that. Knowledge and emotion. How shamelessly you started up this taunt. How do you think you will escape? I have escaped. The truth is what I cherish, and that's my strength. Now, you can also think about the reception of knowledge here. Normally, you may think knowledge is an easy thing, right? For example, I say something to you. 2 and 2 is 4. You take it, that's all. But there seems to be resistance. There seems to be processing. There seems to be a time of reflection, of even transforming knowledge into your own. So here, the process of receiving knowledge, you can think about it. There can be so many things underlying it. It's not a straight thing. Okay, you can think about denial. You think about distortion. You can think about processing. Okay, you can even think about misunderstanding. When it comes to knowledge, it seems like it's not an object, just like I give you a stone, or like I give you the horse, the Trojan horse. It's more like okay, and it is related to emotion in a way, right? So same thing in here. How shamelessly you started at this point. He doesn't believe in it. Okay, I have escaped. And who has taught you truth then? Not your profession, surely. Now he doubts the speaker. How can I be? Like what Ling was saying, right? Maybe he's so sure of himself. He's so certain of himself. You have taught me, for you have made me speak against my will. Who taught you truth? Tiresias said, well, you have taught me. You make me speak against my will. So here, the truth is always something you speak against your will. This kind of definition of the truth. You always speak it against your will. So think about their relationship here. Truth is when you speak against your will. Uncovering, you can say. Remember the idea of unhiddenness. Maybe there is a reason why the truth has to be hidden, right? And you can compare this to Oedipus' situation. He always speaks according to his will. That is why everything he says is true, but then it doesn't matter. Right? So maybe you can apply that to your condition. When Ling says something there, maybe I don't want to say that too firm, but I should really say it. You know, the truth that is spoken against the will, maybe that is the truth. There's a category of that truth when you have to speak it against the will. This kind of knowledge that is unwelcome. Okay, speak what? Tell me again that I may learn it better. Did you not understand before, or would you provoke me into speaking? I did not understand it. Not so to call it known. You see, I hear what you said, but it's not my knowledge because I haven't processed it. Well, what does that mean? You see? Okay, so knowledge, it seems to be something that you really have to process, not just like you hear it, you store it, and then you use it later. It really has to become your own. Okay, so knowledge is not just an addition to identity, to who you are. It needs to be absorbed, you can say. Absorb into who you are. Transform into you. You can say. When you know something, it's not just like you are you and then you have more knowledge, but you change. You become a knower in a way. Just like knowing knowledge makes you a philosopher. So here, it's not like every day you have more knowledge. More like every day you have more knowledge and you change. You become somebody else. Make sense? So knowledge has that kind of defining power. What?
No, I just commentary.
Yeah, give it.
I think this point is very interesting because then with AI and everything right now and how students learn, then it really shows that you read something and you don't fully understand in addition to your identity, right? So it doesn't really, it's not really knowledge in that sense.
Oh yeah, I mean, all in general, all kind of information needs to be absorbed so that it becomes part of you. So that you act on it, say something about it. Because everything you say will be informed by what you know, right? How you behave, how you believe, how you react, how you do anything, right? But yeah, I mean, if it's just information you add to it, it's not going to be, right? And people are going to reject it in general.
Yeah, it may seem obvious, but I think a lot of people now have this illusion that with AI, we know more than ever, and it's information is becoming less and less, how to say, scarce.
Yeah, you have too much information nowadays, but too little knowledge, right? Yeah, absolutely. And Tiresias cannot really say it clear, right? He just says again, I say you are the murderer of the king whose murderer you seek. Not why you shall say ghastly. He just doesn't explain. He just said it again. So you think about that too. Knowledge. Do you need repetition? Or do you need explanation? Now, when you say expansion of knowledge, you mean you just add more knowledge to it, basically. You just repeat or you expand it. Explanation is just basically expanding knowledge. You add more knowledge. Okay. Just like my student the other day, I was teaching them grammar and I teach them like this, the subject of the sentence. Say, what is the subject? You know, and I say, well, the subject is like the core of the sentence. And they, okay, what's the core? You know, so they keep asking, you know, and then like, what is a predicate? Well, the predicate modifies the subject. And they say, but you haven't told me what the subject is. So it gets really difficult. Okay. So you say, just practice. You skip the definition. So same thing here. Shall I say more to tame your anger further? As much as you wish, it will be said in vain though. He will not take it. Saying that and knowing with those you love the best, you live in foulest shame unconsciously and do not see where you are in calamity. Do you imagine you can always talk like this and live to rejoice at it hereafter? Now he's going to fulfill Tiresias' prediction, you know, prophecy that nothing good's going to come out of our mouth. Yes, if the truth has anything of strength, it has, but not for you. It has no strength for you because you are blind in mind and ears as well as in your eyes. You are a poor wretch to taunt me with these very insults with you. Everyone soon will heap upon yourself. He's going to be blind too. Remember, he's going to blind himself. Okay, so this is an ironic situation. Your life is one long night so that you cannot hurt me or any other who sees the light. It is not fate that I should be your ruin. Apollo is enough. It is his care to work it out. Was it your desire, Creon? Creon is no hurt to you, but you are to yourself. You can hurt yourself. Okay? Okay. And then you have more and more. And then he even blamed Creon. He gets crazy now. He gets, now, Creon, you are in on to this. Okay? And then he just condemned, he condemned Tiresias, like, I'm the one who has knowledge, not you. Your knowledge comes from the stupid birds. Okay, I came with Oedipus who knew nothing and I stopped the Sphinx. I solved the riddle by my wit alone. Mine was no knowledge got from birds. It was special, more special. Your knowledge you get from birds, stupid knowledge, this kind of idea. Okay. Now Tiresias is, yeah, you have your eyes, but see not where you are in evil, nor where you live, nor whom you live with. Do you know who your parents are? Unknowing you are an enemy to kith and kin, in death, beneath the earth, and in this life. A deadly footed, double striking curse from father and mother both shall drive you forth out of this land with darkness on your eyes that now have such straight vision. Now we are suddenly reminded. He doesn't need an answer. He knows it from the beginning. Tiresias just basically repeated the prophecy that was there already when he was, before he was born. You know, and suddenly we know, okay, he has known this all his life. It has always been there. They don't have to try. So it becomes really, really like this kind of anticlimactic moment that when people are reminded we're not getting anywhere. It just from the beginning, you know this. Make sense? Yeah. So again, this kind of knowledge that has been always been there. Does knowledge bear again repetition? Every time you repeat the knowledge, is it worth more or less? Okay. So think about it. You have to say. And there's a lot more too. Anyway, here you have it. End of the multitude of other evils, establishing a green equality between you and your children. They are equal. You're both siblings. Okay? You know nothing. And muddy with contempt my words and crayons, misery shall grind no man as it will you. Okay? Go curse with you, go get the hell out of here, blah, blah, blah. You know, he gets angry now. And then he blamed Creon for bringing the boy in. Okay. Yeah, just same knowledge again. He shall be proved father and brother, both to his own children in his house. To her that gave him birth, a son and husband both, a fellow sower in his father's bed, with that same father that he murdered. Go within, reckon that out. And if you find me mistaken, say I have no skill in prophecy. So now he says the whole thing. Okay? Yeah, it's the full truth, you can say. But again, it's not even the full truth. I mean, you know it. I mean, now why do we say that? They always know, because liars has been prophecy. If you die, who will kill you? Your son. So obviously, if he dies, your son will kill you, and he will wed your wife. So here, he was right there from the beginning. But somehow people forget that. And now the good part of the story is that they make you forget, and you go along with it so far. You don't have to tell people like, come on, you're so stupid. It's in the beginning. And that's the good of the story, right? People are so confident, including the readers, that he has been able to escape fate so far. We kind of forget the fact that, well, you don't have to go and ask. You know, it has always been there from the beginning. We are, yeah, in a way, yeah. In a way, we are distracted, well, because we try and run from the truth, right? We try and run from knowledge, divine knowledge, not just like your knowledge, right? And then the chorus said, oh, this is so sad. And then now he's going to have evidence, okay? He talks about witnesses, and then obviously the strongest witness would be his own mother/wife, okay? Jocasta is, no. Do not concern yourself. Listen to me and learn that human beings have no part in the craft of prophecy. Of that, I'll show you a short proof, you know, and then she talks about that. And then the more she talks, the more he gets, oh my God, dear Jocasta, as I hear this from you, what wondering in my soul now comes upon me, what turbulence am I? You see, so the more his wife says it, the more he gets, oh my God, it's true, it's coming back to him now. You see? So again, the truth comes to him quite indirectly, you can say. It's come to him as a revelation rather than a confrontation. Okay? So how is it, you can say, yeah, revelation of the truth, revealing the truth, versus you can say facing the truth or confronting the truth. Which one is easier? Which one is better? When the truth is revealed to you, as if you were a bypasser, you just watch it unfold, or if you face it, you confront it. What kind of knowledge is better to you? You know, a gradual, indirect, distant revelation of knowledge perhaps is better than a confrontation of the knowledge. Huh? We don't know. So that is also why you can see about attitude toward knowledge. Is it an outside invader? Or is it an inside welcome, you know, friend, you can say. It invades you, it changes who you are, and you don't want change. Okay? What trouble is it when you turn again and speak like this? I heard you say that Lazarus was killed at the crossroads. I said, yes, he killed at the crossroads. Yeah, that's how the story went, and still that word goes around. Where is this place? Where was he murdered? And then, oh my God, how long ago was this? Now here he asks the question. He gets to the knowledge himself. Okay? Where have you desired Zeus to do with me? Now he knows. Oh God, I think I have called curses on myself in ignorance. Now he admits that he has ignorance. Okay? Now the last question for you is knowing your own ignorance a form of knowledge? And how valuable is that knowledge? Okay. Now, when Socrates says it, the only thing I know is that I know nothing. And then people say he's the smartest. He knows so much. He's the greatest philosopher about that. You know, yeah, well, Socrates is influential, as you can see. Yeah. What do you think? Yep. The mic. Any online people too? People online, you might want to say something after Chi. Yeah.
Isn't this the same linguistic thing that you said earlier? Like, how could you know that you don't know something if you don't know that thing already? So you have to know it so that you know that you didn't know it earlier or something. Or else you can't know that you don't know something.
Yeah, I mean, when we say like we don't know physics, it means that we are aware that there's so much about physics out there. So we have to know the existence of physics in full, and then we compare it with what we have in our mind, and we say, yeah, when we say we don't know in that sense, it just basically means we don't possess all the knowledge about physics, right? But our own ignorance is something else. I mean, who would contemplate on their own ignorance? You know, and then contemplating on your own ignorance, does it even give birth to any knowledge at all? You know. Yeah. Yeah. What kind of knowledge is born out of contemplating on your own ignorance? Eh?
I think it's like you maybe an outside incident. Yeah, it reflects on you in a way, and then you also reflect on what you have done, your actions in history, and it caused you to think like repeatedly until a moment you realize maybe a strength or a limitation of you that you haven't acknowledged before. Yeah, and it caused you to you know to be aware of it again. Yeah, and from that time I think it will stay with you.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the moment he claims that he has knowledge is the moment that he realizes that he had ignorance before. So maybe what Socrates means is that you cannot claim to know knowledge if you are not aware of the vast empty ignorant space that you are right now having or in, or situated in. I mean,
So is it like he's a support, he's an advocate for skepticism?
Socrates?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a natural skeptic. He asks questions a lot, and he tries to undo everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I would want to add that I would categorize there are two types of ignorance. So the first one is, like you said, the example about physics, right? Like we know how vast physics is. We know kind of like this overall kind of, we have a systematic understanding of how vast physics is, and we know that we don't know enough. And then there's a second type of ignorance, which is that, well, like Oedipus, he doesn't really know who his parents, his roots. I feel like he just doesn't know. He doesn't have this like maybe prior understanding, and therefore he's left in complete darkness.
Okay, yeah, so ignorance is like belief. That is why we said belief is in the middle. Belief means you have false knowledge. You misunderstand something. You don't understand fully something. So it becomes your doxa. It becomes your belief. And it fuels your imagination, which is something Plato would hate. Nowadays people love the imagination, but the imagination is born out of belief, not on facts. Like you don't know what dinosaurs look like, and then you give birth to all the unicorns of the world, and then which is fun. I mean, the dragons of the world. But then Plato would say, nah, no, you don't like. He doesn't like imagination. He likes knowledge a lot more. Yeah, I mean, yes, definitely some kind of ignorance that you absolutely are unaware of, and then a kind of ignorance just like you misunderstand things, you haven't been able to process things, yeah, absolutely.
And I also want to kind of link back to like knowing your own ignorance is also a form of self knowledge.
Absolutely, yeah, a form
But
of
yeah,
self-knowledge.
but I have a question though. I don't know if it's a meaningful one. I don't know. Could Oedipus have deduced somehow that his origin, like his adopted parents, were not his parents? I don't know. They,
No, you
for
have to
example,
be
like they
very
don't
strictly logical.
they don't look alike, or I don't know.
Now,
You hear
yes, in here
anecdotal.
we need to answer two questions, right? The first one is when we say he's not guilty, because he's clearly not guilty. Humans are deprived of the responsibility when they try their best to act. And that is what he does. He tries his best to act. So yeah, he's not to blame for everything that he does. In a way, I mean, so that's the first thing we have to establish, that because we try to avoid our fate, and that is something that is valuable in human, that we know our fate, but we try to take control. But at the same time, we need to be taught humble and humility. That's why we have to be taught that you cannot escape it. And actually, it's not that simple, right? He tried to escape it, and that is why he needs it. You see? So the condition for you to meet your fate is that you have to actively try and escape it. Okay, so it's not like we don't know. I mean, if he stays still, maybe God would have actually favored him and changed the prophecy. God can change the prophecy. Okay, but in here, it doesn't really work that way.
So how should his, like, what is the moral of the story? How should the king and the queen have reacted when they faced the truth?
Is simple. The moral then is simpler because for centuries, for thousands of years, it has been a lesson about tragedy, ironic fate. You can never escape fate. That is the moral of the story. But it makes it beautiful because he tries to, and it makes it so sad because submit to fate, but still act, take action. Don't just sit there. You have to take action. But when fates come, have the consolation that nobody can escape it. That's why you evoke pity in people. That's why you evoke fear from God, because you cannot do any of that. But it still teaches human being to continue, because something else is in store for that. You see, that kind of idea. When he dies, the place that he is dead in becomes a holy place, because it is a place not of sin anymore, of taboo anymore, but of great suffering. So there's something symbolically good out of it. People come there and then they try to absorb their past sins because of that. Like in that place, it becomes holy. So the idea here is that holiness comes from the greatest taboo. Holiness is coming from the greatest, dirtiest place, you can say, which is quite weird. But most of the time, it's actually true. Anything that is holy is deeply taboo, and it is deeply dirty in the sense of taboo. Okay, which is quite weird, right? Think about it. Anyway, anything that is holy is taboo. Okay. Yeah. And then he knows. The more she says, the more he knows. Yeah. And he says, oh my God, no. Let's just wait for the husbands to come. And then he only reinforces. Now, by this time, Oedipus knows his past or his future already. He just waits for more. He denies it. He waits, like, okay, let's just hear another witness. But it's going to be the same. He knows his fate is sealed. So now we come to his punishment. We have to go to Antigone now. Okay, now. Okay, so now he knows. Okay. And then he cries out. Okay. By this moment, and then his wife / mother has committed suicide. She hung herself. Okay. Yep. So he tore the brooches The gold chase brooches fastening her rope away from her and lifting them up high, dashed them on his own eyeballs. Oh, you cannot watch the Odyssey because you're underage. That reminds me. I think the Odyssey is like underage, under 16. Oh no, then you can watch it. Ah, congratulations. You're legally okay. Yeah, people who are under over 18, 16 or more, you can watch it. Yeah, because this is a horror scene. Anyway, he takes the brooches, he dashed them on his own eyeballs, shrieking out, saying, "You will never see the crime." He's talking to himself from the outside position. I can see. You will never see the crimes I have committed or had done upon me. Dark eyes, now in the days to come, look on forbidden faces. Do not recognize those whom you long for. Dark eyes here mean the eyes of the, like, because his eyes are gone. Look on forbidden faces. What does that mean? Now it becomes an impossible condition for him. His loved ones are the ones that he wronged. His loved ones are the ones that he have to forget. His loved one are the ones that he failed to see. Am I going to see my mother or my wife? You know, it's kind of, it's hard. Okay, with such implication, he struck his eyes again and yet again with the brooches, and the bleeding eyeballs gashed and stained his cheeks like tears. No slugging, oozing drops, but a black rain and bloody hail poured down. Tragic. So it has broken, and not on one head alone, but troubles mixed for husband and for wife. The fortune of the days gone by was true good fortune, but today groans and destructions and death and shame. Of all ills that can be named, not one is missing. Oh. Okay, and then he just goes away. Okay. So now we have to move on. I need you to do the Antigone for me, and I need to put you into groups. I want to hear you say about that one. And then I behold Oedipus, and then, you know, isn't it sad? Him who knew the famous readers and was a man most masterful, not a citizen who did not look with envy on his lot. Everybody's envies him. See him now and see the breakers of misfortune swallow him. Look upon that last day always. Count no more to happy till he has passed the final limit of his life to cure from pain. You see, so it comes to a very ironic situation. Don't call any man happy until you have tested that on the day he dies. Okay? The day you die, you don't have any pain, you're happy. But don't call anybody happy too soon. Makes sense? Everybody envies him, but he's the most miserable of all. Now, Antigone. Antigone is about something else. Antigone means anti-birth. Goni means generation, birth. Anti-birth, it means she's, you know, she's not about life, she's about death. Okay? Yeah, it's meaning. Now, what happened here is that before Antigone, not in the trilogy at all. What happened is after Oedipus is driven out, the sons of Oedipus, they fight. I think it's Polysinus and who are the two? Yeah, Eteocles and Polynices. Polynices is a bad, well, not a bad one. Polynices is the one that leads strangers to come back in the seven of Thebes to attack Thebes. Okay, so Eteocles is the one that protects Thebes. So what happened is that both brothers, they kill each other. But Eteocles is a good one because he protects the city. So he gets a proper burial. Polynices, he doesn't get a proper burial. Okay, because the city now doesn't have a king. Creon becomes a king. And Creon says, nah, don't bury Polynices because he's a traitor. Okay, now the rule of burial is one of the most ancient rules. You have to bury the dead. Okay, you have to bury the dead. You cannot leave the dead unburied. Okay, remember that when you watch the Odyssey too, it's one of the ancient rules, just like hospitality. The dead has to be honored. Okay.
Achilles refused to bury or to let
Yeah.
the king bury Hector.
That's why he dies. You see, he gets wrath of the god when he refuses to let the king Priam, the Trojan king, bury Hector. Okay, it's a very, very bad thing to do. Okay, so yeah. So now what happened here is that you have two sisters, daughters of by this play, by play number 3. Now, actually, Antigone might have been the first play that Sophocles wrote, but it's the third part. Okay, and it's relatively new to people of the time. Okay, by this time Oedipus has died. Okay, so Antigone comes home having lost her parents, grandparents, brothers. It becomes complicated. But basically, no parents, no grandparents, and absolutely no brothers. Okay, she calls out to Ismenes and say, well, let's bury our brother. Ismenes said, nah, I want to, but Creon has given a law. You cannot bury him. And Antigone said, nah, I want to bury him. And then Ismenes said, but are you going to be fine, the king now? And Antigone says, I will only listen to the law of the gods, not the law of men. Okay, so we're gonna have I want you to think about this, and by the end, I want you to pick a side. Are you on the side of Antigone, or are you on the side of Creon? Okay, yeah. Well, the play gives you a clear and well, not very clear in a way. Both of them are dead, so you don't know. I mean, not like Creon doesn't die, but he suffers too. His son is dead, his wife is dead because of his decision, and he's clearly wrong. But Antigone also suffers too. So it's harder for you to pick side. But who is right, the play makes it quite clear for you. Okay, so now let's start with some. Here, Antigone first. It has indeed, Creon will give the one of our two brothers honor in the tomb, the other none. Eteocles, with just observant treated as law provides, he has hidden under earth to have full honor with the dead below. But Polynices, corpse who died in pain, they say he has proclaimed to the whole town that none may bury him and none be well, but leave him unwept, untombed, a rich, sweet sight for the hungry birds beholding and devouring. And the dogs actually eat the body. Such order, they say, the worthy Creon gives to you and me. Yes, yes, I say to me. And that's his coming to claim it clear to those who know it not. Okay? Anyone who dares attempt the act will die by public stoning in the town. Blah, 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 blah. And then if you are noble, my sister, or worthless, let's see, I'm going to ask you to do it now. And Ismini said, nah, I'm going to do it. I have to listen to the man. So her argument is simple. Now, to bury him, you mean when it's forbidden? My brother and yours, though you may wish he were not, I shall never be found to be his traitor. Oh, reckless one, when Creon spoke against it, it's not for him to keep me from my own. Alas, remember, sister, our father perished, uphold your fame, blah, blah, blah. And here her argument. We must remember that we too are women, so not to fight with men. And that since we are subject to stronger power, we must hear these orders, and any that may be worse. So I shall ask of them beneath the earth forgiveness. For in these things I am forced, and shall obey the men in power. I know no wild and futile action makes no sense. So she knows she's doing something wrong by not burying the dead, but she said, well, forgive me, what can I do? Okay. Antigone said, I wouldn't urge it. And if now you wish to act, you wouldn't please me as a partner. So even now, if you want to act, I know your intention, I'm not going to be happy. So Antigone is radical. She's an extremist. She doesn't just want to do it. She wants to have good intention, and she wants people to know that she does it. Okay? So she caused this chaos in the city. Okay? Now she can secretly do it, and perhaps Creon would secretly forget it, But now she doesn't do that. Or she can just ask people to do it without meaning to do it. But no, you have to mean it. So everything she does it for the gods to witness, because the gods see everything. Make sense? But on the human realm, she's going to cause chaos. Now, we have to understand Korean perspective too. Thebes have been under siege. It has gone through a plague. Its older king was killed by none other than the son. So many problems and chaos. So he wants order. Okay, so when he becomes a king, he said, I must have order for the city. I must restore order to this city. It is plagued with so many bad misfortunes already. But his version of order is that I do what I think is best. I don't listen to the citizens. Make sense? So he make new laws to establish order. That is his perspective. Understand? Yeah. I mean, if you were in his position, what would you have done? You know, in a chaotic world or city, would you have maintained order, or would you, but he's like the Trump, not to put him in the negative light, but some of his rhetoric is like Trump, order. Okay, now go on. I shall not do dishonor, but no act to act against the citizens that's beyond my means. Again, the citizen here mean against Korea, because clearly that is not the wishes of the citizen. Okay. So here he said it. If you now wish to be what you want to, but that man shall I bury. For me, the doer, death is best. Loving, I shall lie with him, yes, with my loved one. So a lot of people analyze this as like incestuous relationship between the brothers too. Like Antigone seems to love her brother passionately. Longer the time in which to please the dead than the time with those up here. There shall I lie forever. You may see fit to keep more from honor what the gods have honored. She wants to die. Okay, that's what her name is. Anyway, but at least Imini says, give no one notice of this act. Keep it hidden. And I'll do the same. And Antigone said, dear gods who now speak, I shall hate you more if silent, not proclaiming this to all. So she wants to go around and say, my sister has done a criminal thing. My sister has defied the law. She wants to be known. Okay? Yeah, it's weird. Okay? Anyway, now the argument between her and Creon. Okay, so here the reports. Okay, you have the reports here. This same girl, seeing the body stripped, cried with great groanings, called out dreadful curses. So she does it with passion. Okay, so again, justice here is passion. You have to remember. I will draw something for you so that you can discuss later on. Justice versus law. God versus man. Imagine this is like a table for you. Okay. Passion versus logic. Okay. Go on. Soon in her hand she brought the thirsty dust, and holding a high pitcher of wrought bronze, she poured 3 libations for the dead. You see, because she buried him, they dug him up, and then she found out, and then she cried, and she greatly moaned, and then she would pour libation, and then she buried him again. Okay, we saw this and rushed down. We trapped her fast, and she was calm. We tapped her with the deeds both past and present. Nothing was denied. And I was glad. And yet I took it hard. One only escape from trouble makes one glad, but bringing friends to trouble is hard grief. Still, I care less for all these second thoughts than for the fact that I myself am safe. Okay? So here the citizens, the cowards, as you can see. Now the argument. You there, whose head is drooping to the ground. Do you admit this or deny you did it? He wants to give her a way out, perhaps. I don't know. I say I did it, and I don't deny it. Okay? Well, take yourself off wherever you wish to go, free of a heavy charge. You, tell me not at length, but in a word. You knew the order not to do this thing? Well, yeah, I knew. Of course I knew. The word was plain. And still you dare to overstep these laws? For me, it was not Zeus who made that order, nor did that justice who lives with the gods below, Hades, mark out such laws to hold among mankind. Nor did I think your orders were so strong that you, a mortal man, could overrun the gods' unwritten and unfailing law. So you have something else here. Unwritten, unfailing versus written and changeable. Not now, not yesterday. They always live. Now you have something weird. The law always live. So you can think about living law versus perhaps dead law. Okay, whatever we want it to mean. They always live. Timeless versus timely. Or time bound. You see, you can start to compare this kind of laws and justice. Okay. And no one knows their origin in time. The second one, you can say originless versus origin. Okay, you can say known. Okay, go on. So not through fear of any man's proud spirit would I be likely to neglect these laws and draw on myself the God's sure punishment. I knew I must die. How could I not? Even without your edict, if I die before my time, I say it is a gain. Now she's very logical, as you can see. Who lives in sorrow, many years are mine. How shall he not be glad to gain his death? And so for me to meet his fate, no grief. Now she's a very loyal daughter. She stays with Oedipus until he dies. Okay, she cares for him. But if I left that corpse, my mother's son, dead and unburied, I have cause to grieve, as now I grieve not. And if you think my acts are foolishness, the foolishness may be in the fool's eye. Okay, so she identified him as my mother's son, so my brother basically. This girl is fierce. She is her father's child. She cannot yield to trouble, nor could he. Now and then he says, these rigid spirits are the first to fall. The strong iron hardened in the fire most often ends in scrap and shattering. Small curbs bringing raging horses back to terms, enslaved to his neighbor. Who can think of pride? This girl was expert in her insolence when she broke bounds beyond established law. Once she had done it, insolence a second, to boast her doing and to laugh in it. I am no man, and she the man instead, if she can have this conquest without pain. Now here you also have a game of sex play here. Priam seems to believe like only a man can rule. And man here is related to law and order. Okay, women seem to be related to chaotic and destructive and disorderly here. Okay, yeah, so you have this guy, and women have to obey. Men have to, well, give orders and command. Yeah, this kind of idea. Now you see why the other play is very, very interesting to feminist writers, and because of this. She's my sister child, but was she child of closer kin than any at my heart? She and her sister should not so escape a dreadful death. So again here I protect my city. I don't care about kings or children. Because remember, family kinship has destroyed this city. So I'm not going to think about kinship. Okay? I charge Ismini too. She must be complicit in this. But then Ismini is going to come soon. Now Ismini part. Another argument maybe here. Okay, maybe another argument here. Yeah, none of these others see the case this way. They see and do not say. You have them count. Now this is correct though. Antigone, actually people agree with Antigone. The citizen, they want the boy buried. Okay. And Creon, and you are not ashamed to think alone. It is no shame to serve blood relatives. Was not he who died on the other side your brother too? Full brother on both sides, my parents' child. Your act of grace in this regard is crime. The corpse below would never say it was. When you honor him and the criminal just alike, so you have two brothers, one hero, one criminal. Are you going to just bury them both? And he says, it was a brother, not a slave, who died. Died to destroy this land the other guarded. Death yearns for equal law for all the dead. When you are dead, you are equal. Is that true? How are we all equal after death? Yeah, I mean, even in Vietnamese, you have that, right? What story? What did we say last week? I don't remember. Oh, that libel one? No, doesn't have anything to do with that. Not really. No, not really. The libel law. Yeah. Yeah, but it's not. No, this is not really related to that. But again, can you adapt? Is that the end for people? Like, I mean, even in Vietnam, you have that, right? Nghĩa tử là, you know that one? You're too young for that. Nghĩa tử là, he doesn't know. Nghĩa tử là, you see, he thinks until his face is so red and he has nothing. Nghĩa tử là nghĩa. Nghĩa tử là nghĩa tận. It means when people die, then that's it. No more responsibility. Okay, no more relation. It's just that. Make sense? Yeah, but again, it doesn't really work that way, right? Some people are so hated. No, that is only for like bad things, like, hatred and stuff. It's not like for that. But yeah, I mean, many people stay hated even after they dead. They don't get to be buried. So the sentence is mainly to say that the dead deserve the decent amount of respect. Doesn't matter who they are. Make sense? But obviously, it must have come out of that kind of history of wars and of mistreating dead bodies, and people who are living don't want to see that. You can see, you don't want to mistreat dead body, like, like during the feudal time in Vietnam or in Asia, you have the same. If you commit a crime, your grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents' graves, they're gonna be dug up, they're gonna be destroyed, they're gonna be dishonored. The body would be hung up again. So you have this kind of nghĩa tử là nghĩa tận thingy. Obviously, people don't like to follow that. But obviously, living people love to torture even dead bodies. But somehow, people don't like that. The idea here, dead yearn for equal law for all the dead. It seems to be a universal emotion for people. Now, when we say God's law here, we really just mean accumulation of historical laws. People for thousands of years who have lived, They kind of passed down these laws because, you know, they law. People think of that. That is why the citizens side with Antigone. When we talk about God's law, when we talk about justice, we don't mean any just random God. We talk about long generations of people. Okay, the people law, we can say, versus the king's law. You see, law of the weak, you can say, law of the dishonored, law of the people who are being dealt with unjustly, you can say. Okay.
Is it any different from like Spinoza's natural law?
No, natural law, no, it has nothing to do with, it's not related. Natural law means something totally different. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then Creon says, but not that the good and the bad draw equal shares. Antigone, who knows? But this is holiness below. Never is the enemy, even in death a friend. Now Creon seems quite petty. I mean, when you die, which you, I don't know. I mean, even if I hate my enemy so much, that the day he dies, should I still continue to hate him? I mean, would I come to his grave every single year and piss on it? That would be weird, right? I mean, that's why we were saying, I mean, now that you're dead, you're not my enemy anymore. You're a person, you know, you have to let go of this enemyship. But you know, but here it seems that he's quite petty. Never is the enemy, even in death, a friend. I cannot share in hatred, but in love. You see? So the question here is not when can you stop hating, but when can you start loving? You see? So think about that in here. For Antigone, the question is always that when do you start loving your enemy, the person who does you wrong, the person who's dead? When can you start loving? Not when do you stop hating. Make sense? For Creon, it's more like I will never stop hating you. You know, it's like he comes out of a really bad romance story. You know, but for Antigone, she's a person full of love and yet full of death, which makes her a very interesting character. She wants to love in eternity. That's basically you love people in death. Okay. I cannot share in hatred, but let love. Then go down there. If you must love, then love the dead. No woman rules me where I live. Okay, he comes back to the sex battle again. And then Ismene comes and then she tries to take the blame too. She wants to share the love too. And Antigone gets really extreme. You cannot take the claim because you didn't do it. Okay, so here you have that. I did the deed. If she agrees, I did. I am an accessory and I share the blame. Justice will not allow this. You did not wish for a part, nor did I give you one. You are in trouble, and I'm not ashamed to sail beside you into suffering. Death and the dead, they know whose act it was. I cannot love a friend who loves me as words. So she's really angry with Ismene, you know. Sister, I pray, don't fence me out of honor, from death with you, and honor than the dead. Don't die along with me, nor make your own that which you did not do. My death's enough. When are you gone? When you are gone, what life can I desire? Well, love beyond then, he's your kinsman and your care. Why hurt me with those words? You see, Antigone is really petty now. Why hurt me when it does yourself no good? I also suffer when I laugh at you. What further service can I do now? To save yourself, I shall not envy you. Alas for me, am I outside your fate? Yes, for you chose to live when I chose death. At least I was not silent. You were warned. Some will have thought you wiser, some will not. Yet the blame is equal for us both. Take heart. You lived, my life died long ago. And that has made me fit to help the dead. Okay? Makes Antigone a little bit selfish. I don't know. It sounds like she wants the honor for her own. Now, obviously, she does, to be fair, she does go for Ismene and then ask for her help. But then Ismene said, nah, not gonna do it. So, you know, but she seemed very petty now. She seemed to love only the dead, which is weird. And then Creon, you know, he praises his meaning. Anyway, now the son. Now, Haman. Haman is a nice boy, but he's a very weak boy in the sense that he's like a world girl here. That's why Creon must kill all girls. You can imagine this play as Creon killing all girls. All the girls die, including Haman, which is weird. But you know, Father, the gods have given men good sense, the highest and best possession that we have. I couldn't find the words in which to claim that there was error in your late remarks. Yet someone else might bring some further light. Because I am your son, I must keep watch on all men's doing where it touches you. Their speech, most of all, their discontent. You see, he's a very good rhetorical person. Yeah, yeah. Your presence frightens any common man from saying things you would not care to hear. In dark corners, I have heard them say how the whole town is grieving for this girl, unjustly doomed, if ever woman was, to die in shame for glorious action done. She would not leave her fallen slaughtered brother there as he lay unburied for the birds and hungry dogs to make an end of him. Does he not truly deserve a golden prize? This is the undercover speech in town. Father, your welfare is my greatest good. What precious gift in life for any child outweighs a father fortune and good fame. So a father feels his children fairy. So do not have one mind and one alone, that your opinion can be right. Whoever thinks that he alone is wise, his eloquence, his might above the rest, come the unfolding. It shows his emptiness. A man those wise should never be ashamed of learning more, and must not be too rigid. Okay, yield your wrath, allow a change of stand. Young as I am, if I may give advice, I'd say it would be best if men were born perfect in wisdom, but that failing this, it can be no dishonor to learn from others when they speak good sense. Creon get really angry. Okay, at my age, I'm to school my mind by his. This boy instructor is my master then. Haman, I ought to know wrong. I'm young, but you should watch my actions, not my years to judge me. Very good argument. But you can see why Antigone is very, very different from Aeschylus' plays. Aeschylus' plays are traditional. They follow customs. They would never have this kind of questioning. The young questioning the old, girls questioning men. You don't have that. So you see, Sophocles is a between figure. When you go from Aeschylus, the one who writes about gods and titans, you know, and traditional values, you go to like Sophocles, who start to question it. Now he still talks about grand schemes of life. He talks about philosophical ideas and abstract ideas. He talks about custom, but he give you a much more complex pictures. Should I follow the young now? Should I follow the old? He represent for you the broken nature of the old, the broken nature of customs, and yet he doesn't see anything new coming up. There is nothing rising to compensate or to replace that. But when you come to Euripides, then it's a complete change. The new is better. Women's are the best. The trodden, the downtrodden people, you know, the subjugated race, the non-Greek, the ones on the barbarian side, the one on the margin, they are the best. Listen to them. So very different. You can see why Sophocles is someone in between. He transitioned between the tradition, the conservative value of Aeschylus, to a very, very rebellious Euripides, you can say, very rebellious. But here you have it. And I also know wrong. I am young, but you should watch my action, not my years to judge of me. A lawyer action, to respect disorder. I wouldn't urge respect for wickedness. You don't think she's sick with that disease. Your fellow citizens maintain she's not. Is a Tao to tell me how I ought to rule now? Now he wants to be a dictator. Okay, he is a tyrant too, just like Oedipus. Okay, now that you speak just like a boy yourself, am I to rule by other mind than mine? No city is proper of a single man, but custom give possession to the ruler. You rule a desert then, beautifully alone. It seems he's firmly on the woman's side. For if you are a woman, it is you I care for. Wicked to try conclusion with your father. You see, the old structure is breaking down. Okay? When you conclude unjustly, so I must. Am I unjust? When I respect my office, you don't respect it, trampling down the God's due. Your mind is poison, weaker than a woman. At least you'll never see me yield to shame. A woman is stronger and would never yield to shame. Your whole long argument is but for her, and you and me for the gods below. As long as she lives, you shall not marry. Then she shall die, and her death will bring another. He commits suicide. Okay? And then the Antigone get a weird suffering, a weird punishment. She doesn't get instant death. She will be forced to live in a cave. She will not die immediately. She will die gradually of starvation. She is unburied even when she's alive. Okay? She's buried even when she's alive. And that is her punishment. Okay? I will give you a barrier. You like barrier that much? I give you a barrier. But you're not dead. Make sense? Yeah? Okay. Yeah. There shall I hide her in a hollow cave living, and leave her just so much to eat as clears the city from the guilt of death. There, if she prays to death, the only God of her respect, she may manage not to die. Or she may learn at last, though much too late, how honoring the dead is wasted labor. Okay? So again, Creon seems to be like the one for the living. Antigone is like the one for the dead. But Creon seems to be the one for hatred, and Antigone is the one for the love. Who would you choose? You see? So think about that. I want to have a discussion. And Antigone, she's gonna die, and then Haman is gonna kill himself, and Creon's wife, she follows. So they're all dead. Okay. Yep. And then the chorus. Our happiness depends on wisdom all the way. The gods must have their due. Great words of men by men of pride bring greater blows upon them. So wisdom comes to the old. Again, the conclusion seems to be respect older tradition. When wisdom comes to the old here, Antigone actually represents something much older, the laws of the gods. And Creon represents something much newer, the laws of man. But at the same time, if Antigone represents something old, and she represents death, anti-birth, anti-generation, do the laws of the old deserve our respect and our upkeeping? You know, so that is why the play is so good. It's sending us so many mixed messages that we will need to sort out to get to a more coherent message. You see? In a way, remember, Antigone's laws are much older, a lot more ancient. But are they like her, just living dead? You know, you see the start of the questioning here. Remember, might be because during the time of the plays, we have the Blake and Athens is changing so fast. Okay, so we were talking about this huge historical period of wars and of Athens rising. So you can also think about that one. Okay, now I intended for you to have a group work, but we don't have time for a group work, so I can give you like 3 minutes or something. And I want to ask you, whose side are you on? Okay, the online people too, I'm going to ask some of you. So I'm going to give you 3 minutes to think. Whose side are you on? Don't ask ChatGPT to do it for you. You have to decide on your own. Okay? 3 minutes. Whose side are you on? By the way, next week we read the clouds. Okay, I want to spend 1 week on the clouds and read Hippolytus and the cloud. We'll talk about the clouds next week. You want that? I don't want that. You want that? No. Anyone want that? Huh? You like it? You want me to open it for you? Yeah, I like opening this one. It's so fun. Plug it here. No. No. 2 more minutes and then I'll be asking you whose side are you on, Creon or Antigone, okay? Got to upload homework. Did I forget? Did I forget to upload homework? What day is today? Um, Okay, now any volunteers? Online people first. Now, online people, anyone? Whose side are you on and why? Anyone wants to raise their hand? Anyone wants to? Why is there another Chumle? What account is that? Why there's a Chumle there? I don't know. iPhone? Oh. Yeah, any online people want to say something before? No. Well, I'm gonna call then. Maybe the Việt Hoàng can start. Why don't you disappoint me, Hoàng? Gallery.
I can't decide.
Oh, it's so easy. Just pick the girl.
Okay, the girl then.
Good. Why?
Because you said so.
Oh, give me good reasons why. Again, just pick one. Which one is better? Decide. If you were in that situation, would you bury the dead?
No.
What the hell? It's your own brother / uncle.
Oh.
Perhaps your lover too. But anyway, why not? You're a coward. Why not? Why not? Hoàng, because you don't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Then protect Cleon. Give some reasons. Why? Were you even listening so far? You have so many good reasons. Were you listening so far, Hoàng?
I was.
Nah, you didn't listen. Let me ask. The Công Thành one, he seems to have unique ideas.
I
So,
think I will support the sister of that guy, of the dead guy. Whatever her name
Antigone?
was.
You mean
Antigone.
Antigone?
Okay. Yeah, that's the
Why?
name.
Why?
Because well, Creon, I think Creon made the law up on the spot. I think that's what the story kind of said, right? He made up the law kind of specifically for this guy, right? He ordered this guy to be not to be buried, right? And I think that kind of law is like personal judgment, like completely overriding the judgment of whatever divine judgment there is, right? So I think she has every right to bury her brother.
Okay. Okay. Other people? Offline people then? Who wants to decide? Who wants to voice your support? Voice your support, people. Yeah. Who do you want to support? The state's law.
I think I would support Antigone as well, because I think the burial law was so sacred back then that it kind of unites the society, so it affects social cohesion. So I think that, Creon's law is very disruptive in that sense. Well, I'm not, because they already talked about like the emotional side, because it's your family and everything, but I'm also talking about like the contextual, like significance of that law, of that old, like of that divine law as well. So yeah, so I mean, then from a logical perspective, then Creon shouldn't do that, because he actually is undermining his own rule.
Yeah, but you see, back then they didn't really have like, let's just have a survey, ask the citizen every time we want to make a law. Back then it wouldn't have worked that way, right? Okay, go on, go on. Any other opinion? Yes. Here you go. Technology.
Yeah, from my view, I think I will support Creon, but on the perspective of he going against the rule of the god, the law of the god, because well, emotionally for me along the way reading the epic, I was quite angry with the way the gods set out the fate of
Okay.
of all the characters, like yeah, from start to end they're just like puppets, or like yeah, some kind of way for the gods to present their power. But the action of Creon also give ways to also to display the power of the will of man too. Has that he has his own judgment, and he also stand for it, though even though in the end he still failed. But yeah,
Changes in the end, which is
yes,
great.
yeah, it is. But I think maybe if he's also a good at rhetoric, he may find way to persuade the people. It just here in the story he is all alone in his decision, like
every other characters go against him. Like he was set in a weaker point, yeah, compared to like a group of other characters who share the same beliefs, share the same thoughts. Yes. So I think at some point he's still an advocate for the rights of human. Yes, and also he thinks for his kingdom, for the stability of the livelihood of people too. Yeah, it's not from his bad intention. Yeah, so that's
and you would be okay with not burying the dead.
like in the context, if that's what he choose to gain orders. Yeah, because though I know that the things we do for the dead is sacred, but in some context, like we still need strong measure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think we do have other means to kind of condemn him without, leaving him under the sun. Yeah, like or exile. He's dead. But yeah.
Yeah, he's not gonna be in exile because he's dead. Well, he is exiled in a way. Yeah. Again, now because we have a situation in which we have to be obsessed with creating distinction and boundaries, and it's not about not burying the dead that matter. It's more about like burying the dead along, burying the bad one along with the good one. That gives Korean a big problem. And you can think about that even in our modern time. Are you gonna bury the northern soldiers who fell along with the southern soldiers who fell in the Vietnam War? Well, the new Red Rain movie, the Murder one, seems to advocate for the same barrier now. They die protecting their country, the easy motive of holding the S scarf and then loving those same women, blah, 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 yeah, so again, would you be before the no, but you again, because Steve has just undergone such a big a disaster, you can say, calamity, you can say, he was just predicting that the citizen wouldn't really like it, like the one who just come back and siege them and attack them. Now you're gonna bury him with the hero that doesn't seem fit. So you have that kind of idea. Of course, other people will think now when they're dead, they have to have really big hearts. Even for us, would you agree that the northern soldiers and the southern soldier, would they be buried in the same? Should they be buried? And the northern Vietnam government has never considered southern soldiers worth mentioning, so we don't really have them. We don't give them proper barriers. We don't really give them recognition. Obviously, how can we recognize them? Like Quân Thương Huy Thương Sao Đỏ Đệ Nhất or something, but they fought for the enemy and they don't even welcome that. So how do we give them the medals, right? So it's very difficult to give them the medal. But there are ways, like you say, to acknowledge them. Like at least they fought for their country. They love Vietnam still. They also love their version of Vietnam, but they're patriots. And then their parents were so good people. So again, there are ways. So you can think Antigone here, it can apply to a lot of our modern situation too. What makes an enemy out of us? What makes a friend? How do we honor our enemies? Obviously not in a petty, stupid way Trump does to honor his memory, like like we don't want Spain, no Spain, don't go to Spain, trash people. But then when they won the World Cup, right? Like yeah, like take a picture. So that's not the way you deal with your friends and enemies, right? So again, I don't know. So something for us, even all of these plays, they strike a chord even in our modern time and sentimentality, because they talk about universal values. You see? Yeah. Now, anyone else? Maybe one last comment. Yeah. Yeah. Who would you choose? Yeah.
I'll choose Antigone.
Mm.
Because when I was reading it, I wasn't really thinking about like traditional laws, but because Antigone stands is like she has more respect and more love for a person.
Mm.
So, I don't think it's necessary to have to use like
Mm.
Creon's hate to,
Mm.
use an example for the people. Like,
Mm.
because
Mm.
if people actually agreed with Creon, right,
Mm.
then maybe you could like use, it's like the general consensus to
Mm.
make this man an outcast, to like not bury him, but the people agree with Antigone still.
Mm.
And maybe it's because of laws, but also because, I think hating someone when they're dead is kind of worthless.
Mm.
And if he wanted to honor the, what's his name? The guy who wasn't a traitor.
Yeah,
No,
Polynices.
the other guy.
The good one.
Yeah.
Or Ticlis. Yeah, the good
E
one. I don't remember.
something.
Or Ticlis or something. Wait, let me. Yeah, but go. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, he would be.
Yeah, it's Eteocles. He
Yep.
could have given him like, maybe like a big monument or something. It would still be a burial.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
no, makes sense.
You don't have to, you can just give him like a very light burial, like Antigone did in the beginning, and not like just leave him out there for no reason.
Mm. Yeah, again, it's not about honoring the right one. It's really more like punishing the wrong one here. It sounds like Creon really just go out and punish him rather than honoring the good one, right? When you put it like that, yeah, makes sense to me. Yeah, but again, we haven't evolved past that, right? Like in the Vietnam case too, we tend to vilify the people who we don't like, right? Like the recent case, well, not recent, I think it's 10 years ago, the Dong Tâm case, when you vilify the cooking thingy, and then even when he's killed by the police, you can still say, yeah, Giặc Già, and then, so we have that one in Vietnam too, and obviously we have to, the government has to vilify him, otherwise they cannot justify killing him, right? So it was one of the scandal of the land dispute in Vietnam, and well, it echoes even to today, because today too a lot of people are losing their land, and then there's a big dispute between people who have the land and the government who takes the land, whether it's rightful or not, etc. So you have that one too here. Again, everything you learn here you can apply to our modern time. It's not just like it's written 2,500 years ago that it was out of our time. There's still something you can learn. Yeah. Now remember, next week we do the clouds. I don't remember if I have uploaded the clouds online. Have I uploaded the clouds online? Good. So just read the clouds. You can read other two. They are very fun, like the birds and the wasps. Because I think the wasp is about Hercules, so you can also read it if you have time. But just read the clouds, and next week I will make you debate whether we should beat our parents when they are senile to teach them something or not. Yeah, just read the play and you'll see. I put you into the side of, or you should beat your parents when I'm gonna record it and send it to your parents. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's a great play. It's a comedy. So that's why, you see. So read it, and then we'll talk about the clowns, and we will talk about Hippolytus first to get you to see the crazy nature of Euripides' plays. Well, we haven't read the craziest part, which is Bad Guy. But yeah, we'll talk about that, and then we go to the clown. So get ready to argue, violence, beating of parents. Okay, that's it. You're free to go. I still have like, I don't know, 6 or 7 papers. I'll read them and then yeah, you get the points. I put the points down there. I haven't added them up. I'll add them when I finish them. Okay, but you've been writing well. I'm happy with your performance so far. Okay. Thank you. I'll see you next week.